Hey gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of the Fishing Teacher, and thanks a lot for checking out today's video. Much appreciated. Today we're going to be talking about different ways to work a lure to generate strike, as far as different type of retrieves, cadences, that type of stuff. Because in fishing in general, especially when you're fishing for predator fish like any type of bass, white bass, black bass, walleye, pike, muskie, anything like that, a lot of times you can trigger that fish to bite simply by the retrieve and the cadence and how you work that lure. So we're going to give you guys sort of a foundational approach to that to see if it help you guys catch a few more fish down the road. So before we get started, guys, just wanted to keep the reminder out there about our summer Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns. If you guys are struggling to catch fish on your favorite lake, this is a really good resource to help you out. And if we don't have a map on our website, you can book a virtual lesson with me at fishthemoment.com to go over that, and I'll put the link in the description of this video where you can get that information. Much appreciated. Okay guys, let's talk about imparting action on a lure. Now I'm a big advocate of never just working a lure in a standard direction. Like if I'm fishing a moving bait, like a spinner bait or a crankbait out there, I never just cast it out and reel it in, never, you know. Or if I'm fishing say a jig or a Texas rig worm, I never just pump it along the bottom like that all the time. I'm always trying to do something different. Here's a few things that you can do in order to generate a few more strikes. We'll talk about reaction baits first. One of the things you can do is when you make your cast out there, I don't care if it's with a jerk bait or crankbait, spinner bait, topwater, whatever, there's a couple different ways you can manipulate that. First of all, you can manipulate with the rod tip. So you can throw it out there, and when you're reeling, you can just sort of twitch it back and forth like that, or pull it like that, or jerk it like that. But you're twitching with your rod tip, getting the rod tip to impart the action on the lure. The other way you can do that is if you cast out there and you point the lure at the bait, you can do the same thing by basically making a half turn with your reel handle. So if you're reeling like that, stop, make a half turn, stop, make a half turn, stop, half turn, stop, and that'll allow that lure to sort of just have that stop and go jerky motion like that to it. And you can do it fast like that. I do that a lot of times, like on glide baits or jerk baits or something like that. That's a real good some techniques on a moving bait. Now slow bait, a little bit different. One of the things I found out about fishing a slow bait like a jig or a worm or something like that is once in a while, you know, you're gonna catch some fish just dragging along like that. But what I like to do is I'll throw my jig or my Texas rig out there, let it hit the bottom, and then I'll give it a quick snap like that. I'm almost like hopping it off the bottom, like it's almost like it's getting away from them, and let it go to the bottom, and as soon as it hits the bottom, I snap it up again. And sometimes I'm snapping at 6 inches, sometimes I'm snapping at 2 or 3 feet, depending upon the water clarity. Normally, the clearer the water, the harder I snap it, because I'm trying to generate a visual strike to get those fish to come in from a greater distance like that. I found this out, one of my mentors in fishing, a guy named Terry Thomas, he taught me about, he called it the big fish hop, where you throw it out there and you hop your lure off the bottom a long way. And that hopping motion like that, like I said, if there's a fish looking at that. Now, a lot of times these fish study a bait. They'll see a jig down there and they're studying it like that, and then it doesn't really look right, and all of a sudden you pop it like that, and their reflex instinct makes them come out and grab that thing. So I don't normally just pump it like that. Now, if you're fishing a bait like a football head jig sometimes, or a shaky head, and it's really windy sometimes, one of the things I find out you can do is called the pull and drag. So you throw it out there and you're not working it, you're pulling it like this along the bottom, and then when you get past like this, you reel up the slack and pull like this. So you're scooting it along the bottom like that, and then there's a little hesitation and scooting like that. Sometimes the pull and drag is good for like a football head jig. The main thing, guys, what you want to remember when you're retrieving your lures and putting action on your lures is try to listen to what the fish want. A lot of times, experiment. If you're not doing very good, you know, try a different type of retrieve. Try a little faster, a little slower, stop and go, half turn. Just experiment. And when eventually you're going to hit on something that they like, and sometimes the retrieve can be everything. I mean, as far as how fast, how slow you retrieve it, and there's no book that you can open up and say, okay, this is the situation, use a stop and go fast retrieve under this situation. Fishing doesn't work like that. It's way too abstract. So my rule of thumb is if I think I've got the right lure on and I think I'm around some fish, I'll try a certain retrieve or certain presentation cadence, working the bait a certain way for 15 or 20 minutes. If that doesn't work, I may change it up a little bit. So just experiment. That's going to really help you guys figure out what the fish want because they change day in and day out. So just another reason why fishing is one of the most difficult sports in the world. There's so many variables. So hope it helps out, guys. We'll talk later.